It was 1848. James W. Marshall found gold at Sutter's Mill in Coloma, California. At that very moment, over 300,000 people made their way to California by covered wagon, boats, and other means of transportation. Now quickly, let me ask you, why would so many people be flooding to California for this little yellow metal? Well, it could very well be because gold and precious metals have proven to be a certainty in a time of uncertainty. You know, the markets are volatile, but precious metals really help you to diversify your portfolio, protect your wealth, and provide you that certainty in a time of economic uncertainty. You know, we look at examples like the Great Depression. Back then, people were getting food with their ration tokens and really having, a difficulty. Markets were tanking. But at the time, there were people they called smart investors. They took $10,000 of their money right out of stocks and they put it into precious metals. Then there were those that kept their $10,000 in the stocks. Now, those that made that choice to put their $10,000 into precious metals by December of 1935 had turned that $10,000 investment into nearly $62,000. Those that decided to keep their money in the stock market turned that $10,000 into $3,600. So again, we ask ourselves, doesn't that prove that precious metals are a certainty in a time of uncertainty? Well, if that's not enough, there was a crash in 1973 and 74. There were stocks like utilities, tech stocks, things that nobody thought could be touched. They dropped nearly 64%. Yet the precious metals quadrupled. Again, yet another reason to show you that really precious metals are a certainty in a time of uncertainty. We can look past that and we can say that really gold has been around forever. Bernard Bach said that basically gold has been coming since the Alexander's time. And something that has stood fast for 2,000 years, well, it can't be based on ignorance. There's got to be a reason why people follow gold and they follow precious metals. We want to talk about more uncertainty. There's just things that people don't know. Like you go back to 1848, according to the Tuolumne County Historical Society, gold was at $19.39 an ounce. As of today, it's at about $1,315 an ounce. You want to talk about growth? Please show me a bank account where that would have happened. We can look past that and we can understand that yes, they can be volatile. Metals can be volatile. And I completely agree with you that everything's volatile at some point. But through all these times, precious metals have proven themselves. We can then look and say, well, what do we do? How do we protect ourselves with this? And I'll tell you, there's 3 words, but it's the same word 3 times. Diversification, diversification, diversification. Now you may be asking me, Ray, what is diversification? What do you mean? Let me explain. Let me put it as if I were still a child. When I was a kid, I collected baseball cards. I had 4 Barry Bonds rookie cards. There's a few of you that probably collect cards and you know exactly what that means. It means they're worth nothing now because, he happened to allegedly use performance-enhancing drugs. So it caused what I would have considered the cash of my hoard to plummet. But let's say that in that same time I had those 4 cards and my friend from down the street came over and he said, Ray, I've got a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card and I've got a Deion Sanders rookie card. You want to trade for 2 of your Barry Bonds? And if I would have said yes in that very moment, I would have diversified my card collection. And when those 2 Barry Bonds I had left plummeted, I still would have had value in my Ken Griffey and my Deion Sanders. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is maybe you hold stocks, maybe you like to hold cash, but if you hold one entity and it plummets, what do you have to protect you there? What do you have to give you some certainty in a time of uncertainty? That is where precious metals come into play. According to Kitco.com, who is the largest provider of information for numismatic news and gold and silver news, basically, they're showing right now that in 2016, we've seen precious metals, specifically gold, at almost a 15% increase for the year. Not only that, but you start to ask yourself, well, why should I use precious metals? I get that it might be increasing now, but it's not important. Nobody needs that. Well, if that's the case, according to Statista.com, The United States holds roughly 8,331 cubic tons of precious metals, with Germany following up there close behind at about 3,800 cubic tons. Now ask yourself, if they're not important, why is our government holding them? Something you got to ask yourself. It's all about preparation. It's all about being prepared. Again, diversifying, helping to protect your wealth. Look at the folks in Greece. There were some very wealthy folks in Greece. But when everything took a dive, the government essentially told them they have $75 a day to live off of. Now ask yourself, would you be comfortable with that? It's all about diversification. It's all about providing yourself some opportunity to grow wealth. I was recently in Hawaii and I had a scuba diving instructor who was charging $40 to scuba dive. I'm sorry, it was snorkeling. I won't scuba dive. I have an irrational fear of sharks. So it was snorkeling. $40 to snorkel. Or you could give him 2 ounces of silver. Now at the time, 2 ounces of silver was worth about $24. Now, your average Joe might say, well, that's a pretty terrible business practice. He's asking $40 and he's trading for something worth $24. You're right, but he put himself in a vehicle for growth. So right now, you're looking at about $38 is what those 2 ounces of silver are worth. So he's diversifying what he's bringing in. It's just one of the few things that I really would say prove that metals are a certainty in a time of uncertainty. So whether it be from the 49ers back in the gold rush to bankers on Wall Street, there are moves that are made in times of certainty and times of uncertainty. But there's one that's held true, and that's that the metals have proven themselves time and time again. And they've really shown that the opportunity for growth, protection, and overall wealth is really there. So again, if you take anything from this, the one thing I would like you to take is to take the time and look into metals, because as I feel, we've now proven that precious metals are a certainty in a time of uncertainty. Thanks again for watching.